Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to welcome to another episode of Open for Discussion. I'm your boy CMAURICEBALL, and today we have a special guest, and I'm really excited that he is pulling up. He is out here changing the world as a pastor. He's out here changing the world as a ventriloquist. He's out here changing the world as a sax player. I'm telling you, he's doing amazing things and he's making an impact on his community, and not just his community, but all the surrounding areas and everywhere that he goes. And we get a chance to chop it up with him for today. And I'm really excited. So without further ado, kick that intro. Well. I am introducing to some and presenting to others, Mr. Winston Pearson. How are you, sir?
Man, I can't complain. I'm so excited about this. You're just a great individual, and it's awesome to be able to be on here with you and just to talk to you, man. I'm excited.
Man, this has been a long time coming. And normally I have a crazy story about how I get most of my guests on. I normally Facebook stalk them and TikTok stock them. And so I pulled up on you one day. I was like, hey, man, you should pull up on my podcast. We kind of went back and forth. You said, yeah. And then your schedule got kind of crazy and busy because you're out here doing big things and you're a world changer. And 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 then now, the smoke settled and the dust cleared for a season. And here we are. So I'm really, really, really excited about having this conversation, man. We just gonna chop it up and just let people know like where you came from, because people see you out here doing big things, and again, people think you just fell out the sky. You know what I'm saying? And it just showed up. So in your lineage of family, where do you fall at in your siblings? Are you the oldest? Are you the middle? Are you the youngest?
I am the oldest. My mom, four boys and one girl, and so I'm the oldest. Yep, out of all my
Four
siblings.
boys and one girl.
Yes. Yep.
Man, how was that growing up with four brothers? Did y'all do the normal brother stuff that you clash and bump heads all
Yes.
the way up
Yes.
until to your
Yes.
adulthood?
We really had a good relationship growing up. Yeah, we had our moments, but one of the things my mother did not play with was us fighting one another. The
Mm.
punishment was harsh when it came to fighting. Um, of course, if I needed to be the big brother, she would let me do that. But us just fighting, she didn't play that. Oh no.
Man, that is that's a unique story, because most of us, like, y'all just work it out. I got two
Yeah.
older sisters, and I'm the youngest of three, and so it was like my older sister was martial law. She was when when my parents went around. She was the acting prime minister and
Yes.
sergeant at arms and food dispenser and all that good stuff. So with four brothers growing up, and a baby sister, what was that? Um, what was that like when it comes to like nurturing? Did you have to grow up kind of fast? Like, were was your mom working and then you had to take care of your siblings? So was it one of those situations where you was the man of the
Um,
house at an early age?
well, my mom and dad were married for a while, and there's some things happened in the
Mhm.
marriage where they end up divorcing.
Okay.
And so my mother, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I still do have the best mom a person can have. Um, she taught us. She was very intimate with us. She taught us the Word of God. Um, she, of course, she had to work, and so yes, I would watch my brothers and sister. But it was hierarchy though. So when she left, I was in charge.
Uh-huh.
And if I didn't do what I was supposed to do, the hammer came down on me. She was good at nipping it in the bud. I learned that from her. Anything that you let just keep going on, it becomes a nuisance. And so she was good at nipping it in the bud. So yeah, I was kind of like the man of the house, but she didn't put too much responsibility on me, but she made sure that my siblings listened to me.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So she transferred the authority and gave you the authority, and you didn't have to fight for it because mom already
yes,
transferred the authority, and
yes,
and it makes it a whole lot easier for siblings to understand that okay, mom said he's in charge. If we go against him, we going against mama. So we don't
yes.
want that smoke. So we're gonna let
And
him go ahead and be
she didn't play, bro. She told me, she said, by her having all these boys, she could not afford to play like that.
for
She
sure.
didn't want to, you know what I mean? So she did not play.
For sure. That and, in that how old were you when your parents divorced?
I remember I was probably around 9 or 10.
Okay. Fourth grade, third grade, fourth grade,
Yep.
somewhere
And
around there.
it could have been before that. My mom really never talked about what her and my dad went through. She never wanted us to see our dad in a bad way. So she always kept that to herself. We
Hmm.
found out more as we got older and we
Okay.
watched this. Yeah. So um, I would say about 9 or 10 years old.
Now, do you have a relationship with your dad currently?
Right now, I do. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
How
we've been.
important how important do you think having a male presence in the house is?
Oh my goodness! Now that I'm a husband and a father of seven, um, just the presence of a man. Oh yeah, 4 girls and 3 boys.
Woo-wee. Boy, fruitful and multiply. Somebody got to
Oh,
do
somebody got to do it.
it.
um, just the you know, it's easy to tell a young man to be a man or to do this, but the best way for a young boy to understand how to be a man is to see one. Um, it keeps the adversary out of the home if the man is doing it right.
Hmm.
It keeps the adversary out the home because the mother can do what she can, but she wasn't built the way a man is built, and she didn't have the assignment that a man has. And so, me just being in the home, um, I see the influence that I have in the home.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's amazing. You know what gets me is I didn't really understand the power and the influence a man has in a home doing it right until probably the last um, 10 years.
Okay.
I didn't realize what was all in store, what all I had access to.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing um, what happens in a marriage and having children, godly children. It is amazing what God does in a home.
Oh man, yeah. I grew up in a home that I grew up with a single dad in the '80s, so we didn't have God. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get that until my 20s. But he was an amazing father, so I learned how to be a dad. So I wasn't out here looking for acceptance and validation through the
Yes.
gangs that was around my neighborhood. I went home and I always tell everybody like I was way more scared of my dad than any of them cats out there on the block. I'm like, yeah, y'all, I'll fight y'all all day. Him,
Yep.
I gotta live with this one. Y'all shoot, y'all crazy. So
Yep.
so in that being happen to have that responsibility at a young age, you said it like your mom allowed you the opportunity to be a kid, so it wasn't really that much pressure on you. You had the
Mhm.
responsibility. What was like um, you know, let's say middle school like for you? What were you still responsible for four other siblings? Are y'all close in age? So like were y'all all in the same school around the same time?
Yes, we all went to. I'm 46. Um, but the brother that's right under me is 45. The one that's right under him, I believe, is 44. And now I do got a brother that's, I think he's 37, 38, and then my sister is 40. So
Okay.
me and my two other brothers, two oldest ones, right under me, we were in school together.
How cool was that? Like, was you the hey, don't let me go get my big brother kind of big
Yeah,
brother?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I couldn't run to get nobody else. I
Right.
was the one they were running to go get. So, yeah. And then, like I said, my mother raised us to be real close. She
Okay.
raised us to be real close, and so we took care of each other.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
now, were you a good student in middle school? Were you a
I was good all the way in school until probably around eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade, because
uh-huh.
I started being influenced by gangs then and drugs.
Okay. Well, do
Um,
you do you think that was partially because you didn't have your dad in the picture?
oh, I know it was. I know it was because after a while I got to a certain size and a certain age
Uh-huh.
where I never hit my mom. I did like that, but I became kind of disrespectful. I started smelling myself, as they say, and then um, the guidance and the notoriety that I needed, I wasn't getting that from men. Okay,
Okay.
my mom always did it, but you know, um, it was something else that I was missing,
Hmm.
and I seen that. Now I couldn't explain it back then, but I thought my dad was the world back then.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and my mom never said anything different. I thought my mom was holding me back from him. That's what I was thinking. I was, and so I started to have a hatred towards my mom in my heart,
Hmm.
uh, and that hatred started to grow,
Hmm.
and that caused me to rebel.
I totally understand. Like, I my mom was when you're younger, you just don't think your parents were good parents,
Yeah,
right? And so I'm 8 years old, hanging out to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the block, and I'm chilling. And so if it had not been for my dad swooping in the neighborhood, coming and picking me up and dropping me back off and telling me not to tell my mom, the streets would have definitely claimed me.
mm,
Definitely, because she was worried about my two older sisters not getting pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I'm just out here wilding. Wasn't doing nothing bad, but I don't know if I wasn't doing anything. I can't remember if it was anything good happening at 3 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning for an 8 year old. You know what I'm
No,
saying? 9 year old. Like, what was we doing? We was on the block. So I totally get it, and that kind of grew over the years, and I started to have some kind of feelings towards my mom. And when I moved with my dad, he made sure he was like, "Man, that's still your mama." So he would check me to make sure that I kept things in perspective. So as you were growing up, you found this acceptance through these guys who were just validating anything, right? Where they, like you go, like if you was the guy that was knocking cats out, they
yeah,
they was the hey, go get Dub P. He gonna come over here and put some
yeah,
hands on him,
yeah.
and that affirmation and validation started to feel good. Now, did you, with you having younger siblings, did you put that? Did that come into your thought pattern saying, "I know that they're watching me"? When you started to say, "I'm a rebel against mom," did you think that your influence was going to be an influence on your little brothers?
Yes and no. But what's sad is the brother that's right under me.
Uh-huh.
He got killed. He got killed by a police officer.
Mm, sorry to
Okay,
hear that.
in 2011, and to a certain extent, I feel like I had something to do with that because when I started getting into the streets and in gangs, I will make them feel bad because they didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So I kind of would push him to be out there, and they looked up to me.
Uh-huh.
He looked up to me a whole lot, and so that was another thing I didn't realize. I remember my baby brother was angry at me for years, and he told me, he says, "I seen you as my father, not my brother,
Yeah.
and when you left, you didn't come back to check on me. You didn't come back to look out for me." And I never it man, when I tell you it hit me because it was one of those things where every time I would come over, he had an attitude. And I
Uh-huh.
almost came to blows a couple times. And I'm like, what's wrong with my little baby brother? And sometimes you don't realize how people look at you and how they view you. Me, I'm trying to feed some ego. And with
Right.
them, they're trying to figure out the world through me.
Right. Right. So you stepped into the role. So what I mean, man, that is a almost like a common thread through some of the stories that I hear, that the older sibling with or the older brother leaves and abandons the younger one,
Yeah,
and the younger one starts to reject, like, why didn't you come back and check on me? I think it's even in Poetic Justice, where he goes off and then he comes back and the little brother is like, man, you left me with
yeah,
mama and Mad Dog. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's one of those things where you don't know your influence because you're a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, nobody gives us a manual on how to be teenagers. We just out here just teening. We just
yeah.
doing what teens we just doing what teens do, not knowing that the influence then trickles down to everybody else who's involved. Um, what was one of the things that, as you were in that space, that if you could go back right now and just make a correction, what would be one of the things that you would do in that space when you start to transition into the OG and start to live that lifestyle?
I would have one of the things I would have learned to love me and know that I was enough. I was always trying to be somebody that I wasn't,
Uh-huh.
and by doing that, um, I was showing my brothers a false personality, and then they begin to gravitate towards that. And so if I could go back, I would, number one, know that I was enough, and then shielded my brothers um, and sister because, like I said, they looked at me as father, like a father.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize what my mom was instilling. She was very intelligent, but she was instilling. She was really giving my brothers a uh, a role model to look at.
For
I didn't
sure.
realize the pain my mother had went through. I didn't realize the struggles. My mother was taking care of us off of a $6 an hour job
Mm.
and going to college and being at home and cooking. So I didn't realize the pressure that was on my mom, and she made sure that we didn't feel that.
Right.
Like I said, I had an amazing, I still do an amazing mom. So um, shielding and protecting, that's one of that's I'm really big about that right now.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Even as pastoring, when people come in, protecting and shielding them until they get their feet under them.
Man, when we look back at the sacrifices that our parents gave up, man, that thing does something to you. Like, I can look back and see, like, dang, my dad don't never. We would sit down at the table and we would eat together, but he would never be eating. He would just be sitting at the table, and I didn't think about this until probably 10 years ago. I was like, I know why he wasn't eating. It was either me or him,
Mm,
and he chose me. He always gave me the food, and man, it is just, bruh, those when we look back and then we look at the chaos that we caused, and
yeah,
I'm like, yo. Man, my mama and my daddy them out here doing the best they can. I'm out here wilding. Oh
Yeah,
Lord,
yeah, that hits your heart. Is your dad
man,
still
it
living?
does, huh?
Your dad still living?
No, my dad. So my dad was he was murdered on our porch. Like I lived in the,
Yeah.
I'm from the east side of Indianapolis, and so the dude shot him up on our porch, and that messed me up. You know what I'm saying? Like that put me in a real dark place. And then my mom passed about 10 years after him. That was 94, 95. Um, and then my mom passed in '04 of a massive heart attack.
Mm. You know,
So
it's crazy. My son got murdered. My oldest son got murdered in Indianapolis.
really,
Yes, sir. Yep.
man,
Yep.
so you're talking about a lifestyle that you chose, and when you decide to get into that lifestyle, were you thinking of the consequences?
No, no. I was trying to feed an ego, but also feed the hurt as well.
Uh-huh.
And so the marijuana at first was marijuana. The drugs numbed that. Now I didn't know that what I was doing, but I just knew that when I was high, I felt invincible and I felt like everything was going to be okay.
Uh-huh.
And so uh, with the drugs came harder drugs, and then the gang banging became even more strenuous. And then I went from carrying a gun to be cool to carrying one because I had to.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And that's what that and this is what these young cats don't realize today. Like, bruh, you don't. This lifestyle doesn't end well.
No, we don't.
It,
No.
but in we've done glorified it in our community to make it seem like it is the thing to do and the thing to be, and you want to be this. You want to be carrying switches and you want to be the YN right now, doing all this crazy stuff, but they don't show you with the stuff that can change your life. Like I got a nephew who is 10 years younger than me, so he'll be 42. He'll be 42 in August. And one of the things that I did with him when he was turning this path, he went from a straight A student to a straight F student because
Mm.
the streets would look more important. He didn't want to be smart, right? Like being
Yeah.
smart wasn't cool in the circles that he was in. So I took him and got him sized up for a suit. And I took him down and looked at some coffins because I was like, this is where this is going to end up at. This is where you're going to end up at if you don't make the right choices and the right decisions.
I like that.
And what ended up happening was he didn't, and he chose to go down that path. Now, when you were really out there and you were doing OG stuff, stuff that comes with the street. Were you still kind of taking care of your mom on some of the side stuff, like your mom might need some groceries, you pull up, drop
Well,
off some groceries?
my mom would never take bad money. So what I did was, um, I would my the third oldest brother had a good job, or
Okay,
and so I would give him the money for him to pay a bill. So she didn't know it come from me.
okay,
So I would do stuff like that, water bills, different stuff like that, um, because if she knew it was drug money, no, that's one thing she didn't play games about that. She would rather go without than take blood money.
man. Your mom is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I'm telling you,
Right.
I still have it, and I'm not saying nobody else doesn't, but long as I've been living, I have not seen anyone with a mother like mine. And that's just the truth. When I say she really lived the life, I we didn't I didn't grow up in a chaotic home.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know what it means to feel unsafe in a home, or cursing in a home, or see alcohol in a home, or cigarettes in a home. The stuff I started doing, I didn't see growing up. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
stuff that
yeah.
I didn't see growing up. I can't say. you know, I didn't see it. You know,
Right.
I grew up in a very peaceful home.
And
It's,
you
it's
got it
crazy.
straight from the streets.
Yes, I didn't get it from home. I didn't see my mom with different men or men come. I'm like I honestly um, had a Leave It to Beaver childhood.
Okay.
So I purposely went out there to do the wrong thing.
What was that internal battle like?
Um, because God was always on the inside. So I had a fear of dying and going to hell. That was my thing. Okay. I had a fear
uh,
of dying and going to hell. But at the same time, I felt like I was proving that I was a man, that I could take care of myself, that I could fight, that I could shoot you if necessary, that I could rob. And so the thing about doing the wrong thing and sin, it creates a mindset where you are living in this world that really don't exist, but
right.
you in it, but other people get hurt by it.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. Um, yeah, you said something real key, and I have somebody ask me this question all the time. It's like, what is a man?
Mm.
You say you were trying to prove to be a man, and that definition comes from broken people who don't know what a man is.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so the definition, the context is all wrong in forming what a man is, and then we then produce the wrong outcome because the context is wrong. So your conclusion is going to be wrong, and that's what we're seeing that same pattern today.
Yes.
We're and there's some either added other things into it now because they're feminizing men right now. You know what I'm saying? So not all am I telling you a man is OG and YN and you out here doing all this crazy stuff. I'm also saying, but yeah, you can wear fingernail polish and pearls and all. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's a skewed vision of what a man is. I have a 19-year-old son, and I'm like, bruh, and some of the dudes that he watch, I'm like, look, we don't wear pearls. Pearls
Yes,
don't
sir.
Guys don't wear pearls.
Yes,
Guys
sir.
don't paint their fingernails. I'm
That's right.
unashamed of that, and I will stand on that 10 toes down, and I don't care who. Oh, let him express himself. Well, he can express himself by doing something else. Now, I we don't put on even when he was younger. We not putting on mommy shoes. You want to put some shoes on,
That's
go put
right.
them Timbs on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
We not doing that. And so now this definition of manhood is so skewed. So when they see a real man, like you're out here standing in your purpose, walking in your purpose, and I'm sure that the young men that come and see you and talk to you and the influences that you have when you go into the jails and into the prisons, they're looking at like, who done crafted this guy up? Because where was a guy like you
Yeah.
in the beginning of all the stuff that I was doing? Because somebody like you could have helped curve a lot of the stuff that they see because of why they see what a real man is.
And you know what? A lot of them say that when I go to the prisons.
Uh huh.
A lot of them say that. Um, when you think about a man, number one, the Bible says, remember your creator in the days of your youth. Number one, you got to know your creator so you understand your purpose.
Yeah.
Once you understand your purpose, there's a scripture that says, um, where there is no vision, there's no discipline.
Yeah.
There's no
Habakkuk.
discipline. In other words, if I know for a fact I'm going to be a basketball player, then it lets me know what it is I need to do to become that. When you
Right.
don't have purpose, then you don't have a plan, you know.
Right.
But so if I have no purpose and I'm just running to the streets has no discipline. I don't train for anything. I'm not trying to work towards anything. I'm just out there just wild. So I would say number one, a man needs to know his creator to even understand who he is first.
100%. I agree with you 100%. Now, as you was doing this path, what did it take you to down a path of, did you ever go to jail? Did you ever catch a bid? You know, um, in that journey, what was the aha moment for you?
Well, it took me to boys' school. It took me to prison twice. But I didn't have my aha moment until I was out of prison.
Okay.
Um, my aha moment um, was when I remember I was out. I mean, I was out here doing bad on cocaine. I was out here bad on that stuff, and I remember my brother told me. He says, "Winston, just come to church." And I said, "Man, I look so bad. Can't come to church looking like this." And he said, "Just step in there for a few minutes." And I remember stepping in church, and there was this young lady singing on the praise team. And as she began to sing, something in my heart just really softened up.
Hmm.
I remember I began to start crying. And I was married at this time. And I looked at my wife and I told her, I said, "I'm tired. I'm tired." Now, that was when a seed was planted, but it was a few minutes before, or a few months before I came all the way in. But one of the things that God reminded me was my mother planted seeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it was time for those seeds to be harvested, it came. That's why I told my mama, she always say, "Well, was I a good mother?" I said, "Yes." It was important for you to plant those seeds because God knew I was going to go that way. And this is one thing that I would say to those that are on here. You're not in control of what decisions your children make later on. Plant the seeds now because when it's time, they'll at least have it in them to turn around. I had homeboys that wanted to turn around but didn't have anything in them.
Right. Other
That's
than
the
what was
yeah,
in them.
there you go.
Right. Right.
And so
And
I
that,
had something in me.
right.
So when it was time for me to come to God, it was in me. I knew what to do. My homeboys, they died the way that they live because that's all they knew.
That's all they knew. Didn't have anything in them that God could nurture, because there was nobody nurturing anything that to put in them.
Yes,
It says that some sow, some water, but it's God who gets the increase.
yes.
And that is, I'm a product of that. My best friend got saved at 17, and he ran to us and he was like, "Yo, y'all going to hell because y'all not saved." And we was like, "Don't invite that cat to nothing else." And that was at 17. And the seed didn't grow into 26. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But so you were married. How long you been married?
I've been married 13 years now.
Okay. So you
No,
were
no,
you were
Lord, no, forgive me. It'll be 15 years in August. The church been open 13 years.
okay. Gotta get them numbers right. So um so you were married in the tail part of your transition?
Yes, sir.
Wow. How
And
was like, how did you meet your wife? And I mean, because were y'all polar opposite, or was she out there gay? She was riding, and then she found God and was like, "I'm leaving you, partner. Peace."
no, she was a good girl. She was like my mom. I met her.
Oh,
I was on house arrest, and I used to be a drummer. So I used
okay.
to uh, play drums for a living. That was my thing. And she was singing in the choir at this particular Baptist church, and I was going to the church to get out of the house because I was on house arrest. And I seen her, and I started going to the church playing the drums, and the drums used to face the congregation. And one day I turned the whole drum set around to face the choir, and was giving her the eyes and all this, and uh, slowly but surely we built a relationship, and yeah, we started dating, and then we got married.
So when she realized like you was an OG, was she
It
more
scared her.
attracted because it was like like taboo to mess with the bad guy?
Her family told her to leave me alone.
Uh-huh.
They told her I didn't have it all. That's what her family was telling her. And but one thing she kept saying is, she said God kept telling her there was more to me. There was more to me. Um, I hid a lot of stuff from her until I couldn't hide it no more.
Okay.
I hid the tattoos from her. I had gang tattoos on me. I hid a lot of things until I couldn't do it no more. And and I remember when I did get delivered in church, she got filled with the Holy Spirit at the same time I got delivered.
Okay.
So it was the way God did it. He just brought us. He knew I needed her and she needed me. She's the reason why I'm not doing a life sentence in prison now. Um,
Wow.
I was
Wow.
burglarizing this. I was burglarizing this house,
Uh-huh.
and so I left, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna go back tomorrow." It was a rumor that it was supposed to be $50,000 in a home, and so um, the next morning I wanted her to take me there. And she kept stalling and stalling and saying, "I don't want you doing it. I don't seem right now. I just got off a house arrest
Okay.
from a shooting case."
Uh-huh.
Um, and so the judge said, if he see me again, he was, they was throwing the habitual at me and getting rid of me. Well, I was mad at her. I'm cussing at her, telling her, "Come on." And finally, she says, "It's your life. It's what you want to do." But she waited. I mean, she waited hours. Well, I had my homeboys at the same house looking for it as well.
Uh-huh.
And when she drove up, the police was already in the house arresting my friends.
Wow.
And we drove on past. And that was the moment I told her, I said, anytime you want to nag at me, your nagging is gold. I thank God for you. Yeah, she was the reason why I wasn't, I'm not doing a life sentence now. But yeah, uh, the Lord used her in many. She helped me get my license. She helped me get my life on track. Um, I went to college because of her encouragement. Um, when I didn't have a job, she put money in my pocket to look like I was paying for the dinner.
Man.
Um, I mean, when a woman does that, cares for you,
Right.
because I could have left her, you know what I mean? But she got my life on track. And that's why I take care of the way I take care of it today.
Bruh. That's amazing. You look how God orchestrated. Like he's the author and the finisher. You
Yeah,
about to go in here try to get this fictitious 50 stacks and your boo thing out here like, nah, bruh, that don't make no sense.
none. And I'm upset because in my mind, like I say, seeing to have you living in a world that's not even real,
For
but
sure.
everybody around you getting hurt.
For sure. Was
You
it
know what I
was
mean?
it difficult when y'all got married for her? I mean, I see she was kind of laying it down and she was kind of, she was consistent with what she believed. Was it easier for you to walk away when you start to kind of put her in the thing like, man, I could possibly be hurting her? Like, did you think about, okay, she's almost similar to my mom. I hurt my mom. I don't want to hurt her either. Was that one of the things that help you kind of transition faster because you seen the hurt and the pain?
Yes, after I got saved though,
Okay.
my eyes were still blind.
Mhm.
It's weird. You don't even see the destruction that you are creating until God opens your eyes. When God opened my eyes, I've seen two things. I've seen how I was hurting her and my mother,
Uh-huh.
or how I had hurt my mother. And I remember calling my mother and just crying and telling her. I mean, God began to show me everything she had done, providing food, clothes, even her going without. She had
Mm.
holes in her socks
Mhm.
and different things. And I seen that. I'm like, wow. And when God opened my eyes, He gave me compassion. Because sometimes, I'm gonna be honest with you, these young boys don't really see the pain that they're creating.
Right.
because there's so much in pain themselves that people that are in pain without wisdom, they become selfish.
Right.
You know, pain
Absolutely.
without wisdom, it makes you selfish.
Yes.
And because what happens is, you honestly, you're really just trying to heal that wound you got. And so you don't see yourself hurting others. You see yourself as trying to get what already belongs to you. And when God healed me and I opened my eyes, I began to start seeing how much pain I created. Um, I mean, I went from night to day. It seemed like the Holy Spirit just, I said, no, man, let me do right by her and also make my mother and grandmother proud.
Mm. That's man, that's a amazing story and testimony. Now, when you were locked up, were you listening? Were you looking for a spiritual guidance? You know how some people get
Yeah.
in there and you know it's where they have that epiphany moment. But you said your mom laid the foundation. She tilled the ground. She planted some seeds, and then over time, through life experiences, things started to shed and it grew. Were you drawing close to God while you were locked up, or was it one of those things that once you got out, it happened?
No, when I was in locked up, I was uh, taking people commissary, gang
Okay.
banging, doing,
Okay.
you know, yeah. I
Okay.
was very violent when I was locked up.
Okay. And so, what, you know, what moment, like when you changed, what was one of the first things that you looked at when you looked in the mirror and you got saved? What was one of the first things that you thought positive about yourself?
I really didn't. When I looked in the mirror, I seen how bad I looked because the cocaine had. Uh, I was looking like the streets,
Okay.
and so when I first looked in the mirror, I was like, "Wow, I didn't know I looked this bad." You know, I was real thin,
Uh huh.
uh, um, and then my complexion was real dull. So I'm dark skinned, but it looked like I didn't have any life in me.
Oh.
And matter of fact, my father-in-law, he took a before and after picture, and he says, "Man, look at this. I looked it dead, but when I was in seeing, I thought I looked it good. You know, I thought I was finer than wine. You know what I mean?" And I looked in that mirror. I said, "Oh my gosh!" And so I started eating better. I started drinking water, working out, and I started my prayer life.
Uh huh. Uh
Began to
huh.
start talking to my father, and started facing the insecurities that I had.
Mm.
A lot of the insecurities what drove me into the streets because there were things that I wanted to talk about that I didn't feel comfortable talking to my mom about. Um, things that were, you know, things I was feeling. Um, Even though she tried to talk about certain things, but um, a lot of those insecurities I was able to visit in my 30s.
Uh huh.
So my 30s were a time of they were the worst times of my life and also the best because the 30s I was reaping all the seeds I had planted, but at the same time I was transforming into a man. And so at the age of 40 is where I felt that release. I felt like I had I started experiencing a good harvest. You know,
Okay.
I became a ventriloquist at the age what 2000 and uh when did COVID 2020.
20,
Only
19,
been-
20.
Yep, I only been a ventriloquist for 4 years.
Okay.
And
What brought that on? Like, you went from, you know, like, like if we was writing this story, it would be a great fairy tale story from OG to ventriloquist. What's the?
oh, when COVID hit, I heard the Holy Spirit say, "Don't come out of this season empty-handed."
Ooh,
And
that's good.
I didn't know what he meant at first. And out of nowhere, I started to get a desire to do puppetry. So my at the time, I think, my second oldest daughter found a Lester doll, and I named him Torah after the scriptures, and I began to practice. Well, when they lifted the thing with COVID, I got my first job at a school.
Uh huh.
making $75 an hour doing puppetry. And
Wow.
then it just started growing. 2 years after that, I picked up the saxophone. So I've been doing the saxophone about 2.5 years. Been a ventriloquist a little bit over 4 years. So, and then that changed my life because I was able to walk away from my job. I used to be a lumberjack, used to be a landscaper, and now I travel all over the world doing puppet shows, saxophone gigs. I'm in the prisons, and it was lucrative enough for me to walk away, and it allowed me to spend more time with my family.
Y- You said a lumberjack.
Yeah, but
all I
yes,
all I heard was Biggie. I used to be a lumberjack with the red coat, the match. So
I did tree.
you
I
was a
did tree work.
lumberjack. So you was chopping down trees.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh, uh, Trees. I mean, when I tell you my life has really been full, I've had a full life. Um, and right now I'm having the best time of my life because I never thought that I would be a pastor. You know, my grandmother said I would, but uh, I didn't
How
like
did that
people like
come
that.
about? And I mean, so I pastor church, and most of my homeboys, we're in ministry. It was one of those things that it was like we ran to it. I got one homeboy. My homeboy that got saved at 17 is the only one that was desired to be a pastor. The rest of us, we had other ambitions to do other things. What was your when you got called into ministry to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ? What did you just like, okay, God, I'm rocking, or did you push back?
I started crying because I
Mm.
thought it was. I looked at it. Looked at it as me being sentenced.
Oh.
And like I
Mm.
didn't really want to do it. I looked at it as my life is over with. I got to deal with this for the rest of my life. And but also I wanted to please my father as well because I knew what he had saved me from. You know, I OD'd on cocaine. I mean, he's really saved me. I've been shot. Uh, God has really spared my life. And so um, when he first called me to do it, I told my wife, and I just wept because I told him, I said, God, I don't really like your people. You know, just to be honest,
I
I
dig it.
don't really
I
like
dig
the
it.
people. They're mean. They're selfish.
Yeah.
Uh, and plus, I knew who I was, and I'm like, I felt it as you know, me being sentenced, like going to prison. Yeah.
Man, I just wrote that down in my notebook because I think there's a message in that. When we treat the call as punishment,
Yes.
like this is God's punishment to for all the things that I did. Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is real, real powerful. And so as you are, you walk through this journey. You reconcile with your dad. You reconcile with your mom. Did you have a chance to reconcile with your brother before he passed?
Matter of fact, he came to church and stood up. They was doing testimony. He stood up and he looked at me and he instead of him giving a testimony, he began to pour into me how much he looked up to me and how much he wanted to be like me. When he left from there, maybe a week or two later, he got killed.
Mm.
So um, that I mean, God knows how to restore and how to bring peace. Um, Looking back, I would tell people, don't let the world rob you of what really means something. You know, that time I spent in them streets, I could have been a uncle. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you something. His his only daughter, well, his daughter, excuse me, his one of his daughters sings in our praise team at the church.
Awesome.
I had a chance to work with his oldest son doing landscape. So, I'm an uncle slash dad, and I'm just so grateful. You know how they say there's a certain time where life really gets real. It starts to life, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm at the season now where I don't waste time with this thing called life. I understand that I could be gone tomorrow. When you're younger, you don't feel you feel immortal when you're young.
Right.
As you get
Invincible.
older,
Yeah, I got
as you,
time. Yeah.
yeah, as you get older, you say, I can go anytime. My wife can go anytime. My children can go anytime. So um, I think the blessing about being a pastor, the Lord gave me. It's a scripture, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, um, 2 and verse 4. It talks about how it is better to go to a funeral than to go to a party because everybody has to go that way. And then it says, um, it talks about how um, that the wise man thinks often about death, and that the fool only thinks about having a good time. I would say the biggest blessing I've had of being a pastor is understanding the value of life. Um, because a lot of times we're reaching for something that is only temporary. But now having that in perspective, I understand that now it's important that everything I do has a permanent result. Because
Yeah,
when you're dealing with souls, you can't mess up with souls. That's eternal.
for
You
sure.
know, you can mess up some money, you get that back.
Right.
You mess up a soul, man. Oh man. And so now I thank God for being a pastor because it put my mind in perspective of I'm not living from party to party or vacation to vacation. No, what is my purpose, God?
Right.
And when I meet somebody, what is it that you would have me to do that will leave a permanent impression?
Man, that's an amazing man. I'm sure there's some things that we could have unpacked that could have took us down a place it just touched more life. But this was very rich and filled with some gems and some nuggets and some big nuggets and some gold bars. For y'all that don't know him, go check him out right here. This is his TikTok. Go follow him on TikTok. He is hilarious. Him and his band of brothers that he have as far as his puppets, they argue, they go back and forth. They talk about rap music and all kind of stuff. So it is awesome. Go follow him. Go support anything that he's doing if he comes to your area and all that. He is doing some phenomenal stuff. If you're in Fort Wayne, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you're in Fort Wayne, you're in the Fort Wayne area, go check his church out. What's the name of your church?
The Church of Jesus, 2601 Alma Avenue, Fort Wayne, Indiana. We have services Tuesday night, Bible studies, that's at 7. Wednesday night prayer, which is 6:30. We have Friday night service, which is at 7:30 p.m. And then we also have Saturday service at 2 p.m.
Okay. So if you're in that area, go tap in because guess what? He doing big things for the kingdom. I just have one last question I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
Uh, what is something that you didn't pay attention to early on that you had to learn the hard way as you got older?
Oh, there's so many of those. The value of time,
Mm.
the value of time. I didn't realize how important time was and how time doesn't get away from you when you walk it in purpose. And actually, there's a scripture in the Bible said that David died of a good old age, full of honor and full of riches. When you live life the right way, it doesn't feel like you're trying to catch up and keep time. But when you live the wrong way, it seems like time is getting away. So in all actuality, you feel like you're enjoying your life when you do it the right way.
This thing called time is the greatest commodity that we have. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. So make sure that you value not only your time, but the time of your loved ones and the people around you. You got anything else you want to say to the people?
No, if y'all check out my guy, Mr. Maurice Ball, man. I just thank you for your transparency, and you're a real dude. I pray that this your podcast just blows up because people need to be able to come on and talk because this brought some healing to me. Made me think. I teared up a couple times in this session, man, thinking about certain things that I hadn't visited for a while, and so ministry is, your ministry is you able to get people to talk and to reminisce on what it is God has done for them or what they've been through, and I appreciate it.
Well, man, I appreciate you pulling up. And just stay on after we close this out. All right. We still got a few minutes, but look, hey y'all, you've been chilling with CMAURICEBALL and Mr. Winston. Hey, love you like a play cousin. I'm out. Peace. Well, man, I appreciate you pulling up, man.
Thank you, brother.
I'm always trying to perfect what I do and make sure that that what this does, um, it's a good setting. So, how did you feel about the whole? How about the whole?
Oh, I loved it, man. It was easy to talk, and um, I do feel like if we would have had more time, it would have. Yeah, God would have took it another place. It. This is amazing, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for even thinking about me.
Oh man, I appreciate you pulling up. Real talk, man. And and you know, anytime you want to just kind of revisit this thing, and we could, because I do. I mean, even if you don't even have to talk about your life experience, if you want to just say, "Hey, I got an idea for a podcast," I produce podcasts as well too. So, um, man, if you want to ever come back on and just chop it up, man, feel free to do that. Can I get you to do me a favor though?
Yes, sir.
Can I get you to do me a drop? Just be like, hey, you've been chilling on it, tell them who you are, and you just been chilling on the Seymour Reese Ball podcast, and that's it.
Okay, when you want me to start?
I'll count you down.
Okay.
In three, two, one.
Yo, this is Winston Pearson, and I've been kicking with my homeboy C. Maurice Ball. Listen, amazing show, amazing content, amazing. It made me feel like I was kicking with my play cousin, as he say. Listen, y'all check him out.